Hi, Anna.
Hi, Doug.
Thank you very much for travelling all the way from Germany over to Manchester for Fabric of Football. I appreciate it very much.
It was a pleasure for me. Thanks for your invitation.
Thanks for coming. Obviously, this is the pride and joy, the Germany shirt. But I want to get to know you a bit more first, to understand how you got into football shirt design. So how did you get into design as such?
I came into I get to design from my parents or exactly from my grandpa. My grandfather was a men's tailor, and so I started very early to get familiar with silhouettes, with pattern, with fabric. I bought a sewing machine at the age of 14, and this was obviously the start. And after school, I made a education as tailor, and then I studied fashion design on a German fashion university.
Yeah. And when did you start working for
I
Adidas?
started working for Adidas in '84. I just jumped for a couple of months in women's high fashion, and then I got an offer from Adidas as a design assistant for sure, and that was my start with Adidas.
Cool. So, what was the first football shirt that you helped design?
Actually, I do not remember. It must have been one for a German team.
Yeah.
We have been a very small team of designers, just four people. You cannot compare it with the amount of designers
Yeah.
who are working nowadays at Adidas. But the biggest success for sure was this one.
Was a Germany shirt.
Yes.
Obviously, I mean, the late 80s is a real high point of football shirt design, especially for the all-time classics. You've got the two greatest football shirts of all time are the Germany shirt and the Holland shirt from Euro '88. Did you have anything to do with the Holland shirt?
Actually, when I got your invitation, I was starting to think about that time and how the Dutch design, the Holland design came up. I think it was a teamwork out of the design team. The graphic was coming up, and then we put this together. But there
Yeah.
is not. I do not remember actually who did it. I think it was a teamwork. This one I remember
Yeah.
quite well.
So where did this come from then? Where did put in? I mean, it's about the flag on the shirt, really. Where did that come from?
It was we created, or I created this in '88. As you know, it was created for the European Championship,
Yeah.
and at that time or before, the shirts have been only white, very classy, just with some black trims, with some black decoration. And at that time, Horst Dassler was in the company, was the owner of the company, the son of Adidas, of Adi Dassler. And he had the idea to start with color. And then he came up with this idea to the design team, and we were quite happy to do something with colors. And then the German colors, the flag colors, this was obvious to do something with that.
Yeah.
So this was the main issue. And
So can you remember? Obviously, this was the end product, but can you remember? Did you try any different things? Was the flag a different way around? Or?
for sure, we did a hell of sketches, and as you can imagine, these have been all hand-drawn sketches because we did not work on computers at that
Yeah.
time. For me, a main issue was that the football players, look very nice on the field, because we have nice players. We had nice players at that time. I wanted to make them look good. In terms of silhouette, I wanted to accentuate the shoulders on that design. And what else? I wanted to have a dynamic geometrical design, and for sure, if you look at the curve, at the geometric, it's going up, which is a symbol for
Yeah.
winning.
Yeah.
That
Fantastic.
was the idea behind the shirt.
That's brilliant.
So-
I mean, what I find interesting though is obviously this was produced for Euro '88, but West Germany at the time, they lost to their main rivals in Europe, Holland, in the semi-finals on home soil. Why was this design then kept on for 1990? Why was it
Okay,
not seen as an unlucky shirt and
Okay,
a
yeah.
new shirt comes in?
There is also a story behind of this. Actually, we did after that a lot of new ideas, new designs for '90, but none of the designs was as good as this was. And then there was a meeting at the semi-final, and Franz Beckenbauer himself decided or proposed to go with this exciting design to 90. And for sure, it was an additional success that the team won the championship.
I mean, obviously for the 1990 shirt, the Adidas trefoil becomes like embroidered. You know, was that just to update the the style?
You mean the
Adidas trefoil logo? Yeah, for 1990 it's a bit bigger and embroidered, whereas on the 88
actually,
it's
I
plastic
do
transport.
not remember that detail.
I mean they're the little details that I obsess about.
Yes. I do not remember.
Also, at that time, I find it fascinating. The shirts that are made for players are obviously different to the shirts that are made for the public. But at this time, the shirts that were available to the public for some teams were quite a lot different. Say Argentina and Soviet Union for 1990, the design is completely different for the replica than what the players were wearing. Was there any reason behind that?
I cannot answer that question. After designing this and looking or taking account to the execution, which was very difficult to transfer it from the little sketch to the pattern, I jumped into the next design story. So I don't know.
But that's fine. I mean, in terms of you said this. I want to make the players look good.
Sure.
So your brief when you're making a design is to make the players look good, or you're not thinking so much commercially. This is going to be a good seller, or what comes first?
For sure, I think we did not think that commercially that the designers have to think nowadays. We have been much more free, and I think this was our big advantage.
Yeah.
For sure. Then the board has chosen among the designs a design which is commercial, because that's the main issue. But I think we have been, as a design team, quite more free than they are nowadays.
Well, it seems that way. So obviously, during your era, so many amazing shirts were produced. So how long? When did you stop working for Adidas in the football shirt?
In football, I stopped when I got a chief designer at Adidas. Then I was responsible for all areas, so I was not designing myself, or only a bit of stuff. I jumped much more into tennis, into Steffi Graf and Stefan Edberg and all these iconic designs as well.
Some great tennis t-shirts at that time as well.
Yeah, I have to say, tennis was in the late 80s and 90s. Tennis got much more of media attention than soccer. It's completely different than now. At that time, tennis was the big issue. So I went a little bit out of the soccer business, but I was for sure interested.
You left.
Yeah, I left this. Yes, I left this, and then I jumped into other areas. Exactly.
Do you have any tips for aspiring designers? Young designers maybe getting into football shirt design. Have you got any tips?
Yeah, I think one big advice could be to go out of this box. If you are working a couple of years just for football, soccer shirts, you are really in a kind of a box. You do not look and do not create around the corners.
Yeah.
And there has been done up to now so many things with graphic solutions that there can't be a really iconic design if you go on again and again with graphics. So I think a designer should be open, looking what's going on in architecture, in street style, in graffiti or in whatever, but not being in the box of just soccer. Okay. So we get inspired in the 80s a lot by tennis, because at that time tennis was already a step ahead. They have been already working with graphics, with prints, and soccer not at all. So I think that was the advantage. So if I transfer it to nowadays I think the designers have to look to different areas to come along with something really new.
Yeah.
Different.
And how does it make you feel that Adidas have brought your design back, obviously a modern take on it. That must be proud when you saw that.
For sure, I am. I am looking back when I designed it. This was 86 or early 87, so it's more than 30 years ago. For sure, I'm proud. Actually, it was not a big success during designing and during developing, and even in the first month or couple of years. This was very critically seen. First of all, it was very bold. It was very loud. This was different, and not everybody from the football scene liked it. And we have had as well some problems concerning the German flag colors due to the history of Germany. Yeah. So I would say the success came much later.
Yeah.
And nowadays, for sure, I feel very honored that Adidas took this iconic design as a design as a retro design and developed something new out of it. But for sure, you see the
modern
the origin. But
I
think they did it in a quite good way. I like the German design, the new adaptation of this a lot. I think it's well done.
I like it too. Yeah.
So great.
Okay, thank you very much for
Thank
talking to me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Doug. It was a pleasure to come to Manchester and getting the invitation. Thanks.
Thank you very much.